Our big conversation begins right now. We will be talking matters National Youth Council's second strategic plan 2023-2024 to 2027-2028. Who better to have this conversation than Miss Margaret Kiogora, the Chief Executive Officer, National Youth Council, joining us virtually. And do keep your comments and questions coming in on the same. The SMS line is 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Good evening, Miss Margaret, and thank you for joining the broadcast.
Good evening.
And now, just to start off with our conversation tonight, perhaps the National Youth Council, under your leadership, did launch its second strategic plan. How was the experience? Was it a success? How was the experience?
Allow me to start by saying thank you to GBS News for giving National Youth Council this platform to be able to just have a conversation on what we did today. Today was such a joyous moment for the youth of this country because the strategic plan is to be able to deliver when it comes to their programs and when it comes to the agenda of the youth. So for us, we believe that the strategic plan launch was such a success. When you look at the youth that were there, they were able to interact and get a snippet of what this strategic plan is all about. So for us, we believe it was a successful launch, and we are looking now forward to being able to implement it. Thank you very much.
Ms. Margaret, now for most of us, I happened to attend the event myself. We were there to launch, but of course there has been preparations behind. Perhaps you can take us through some of the preparation and some of the challenges that you have faced when coming up with this plan.
Thank you very much for the question. One of the things that you will note, even during the launch, we kept on saying is that this is the second generation strategic plan. Initially, we had a strategic plan that we were implementing. And during the implementing stage, we were able to realize that there are areas that either there were lessons learned and we wanted to be able to improve on our work. One of the things that we realized as we were implementing the previous strategic plan, even before I come to the new one, is that we have a very not well coordinated youth space, where we have different players in the market or different players in the sector who are, all of them want to change the life of the youth, but we find they are working separately. So by the time you're talking about the impact, sometimes it's not felt. As much as there's a lot that is being done, you're not able to quantify what has been done out there. So that is one of the lessons that we learned during the last strategic plan. And also the other lesson that we were able to learn also was about strength in partnerships, strength in collaborations. Because one of the things that we've been able to note is that when we work together as people who are in this sector, as different stakeholders, we're able to achieve a lot. Coming to the strategic plan that we launched today, that is 2023, 2024, 2027 to 2028. The journey has not been easy. We started this journey around 6 months ago. And this is one of the deliverables that we are required as a state agency to be able to deliver. As I would want to introduce our institution, National Youth Council is a state agency. And our state agency is under the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy, and Sports. And one of the areas that we are required to do is to have a strategic plan, because a strategic plan gives guidance to the institution. Again, our leadership being led by our able CS, Ababu Namwamba, our PS, Mail Made, together with PS Engineer Tum, we've been able to have the bigger picture for the ministry. So for us as the National Youth Council, we are to trickle down the bigger strategy of the ministry to be able to know how are we going to serve the youth of this country. Remember again that there are other documents that guide our institution, like the bottom-up transformation agenda. We also have the MTP4, that we are able to align this document to what we do. That way, in the next 5 years, we will be able to be reporting of what we've done for the youth of this country. So the journey has not been easy, but we've been able to work with different stakeholders, from our ministry to the State Department of Planning, to our staff at NYC, to the stakeholders who work in this sector, That is the youth serving organization, faith-based organization, and also to the youth of this nation. So it has not been an easy journey, but we've been able to listen to the voices of all of them and try and collect them in this document. So I would say today we saw the fruits of that journey. And to be honest, it's quite fulfilling, noting that we have a document that we can implement in the next 5 years.
Thank you. And now, today we did see many partners coming together and the likes of IYF, highlighting any key partnerships or collaborations and how they come in terms of achieving the goals in the strategic plan.
As I said earlier, what we've been able to realize is that collaboration and partnership is actually the way to go. For us to be able to serve the youth of this nation, remember these are the 75% of the population. They are the young, they are agile, they have a lot of innovative ideas, and there's a lot of things that they can be able to do. What we've realized is that working in collaboration, number one, we look at IYF, International Youth Fellowship. There's a lot that you're doing for the youth. We've worked with you in several instances, and we've been able to see the impact of that. Again, we have institutions like Spread Truth Africa. What we've been doing with them, again, is instilling values, because you find young people, sometimes they do not understand what are these values that we need to be able to protect, what are these values that we need to live by. And apart from values, we've been able to go on ground with institutions like Spread Truth Africa. I know for IYF, you're working with our ministry in Kisumu, Nairobi, and Mombasa. And the same thing, you're trying to take the mindset of young people. Because one thing that you find is sometimes our youth have so many ideas, but they don't even know how to even package them. Being able to show them the potential they have, being able to show them to believe in themselves, being able also to show them they need to go for it. No one is going to give you things for free. And I believe when the chairman was talking about, there's that need to change our software. And the minute we see of the potential, the minute we see the power of supporting another youth, the minute we see the potential of even working together, then we achieve more, as opposed to when we pull each other down. So one of the things that I continue urging our young people, let's remember our potential, and let us remember our strength in numbers, and let us remember the importance of being able to hold each other's hand, to pull each other up as we deliver and even as we get our livelihood out here. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
As we talk about values, the core values of NYC are inclusiveness, professionalism, integrity, transparency, innovativeness, and teamwork. Now, how have you designed the plan to make sure these values are adhered to, especially on inclusion? We have people with special needs, we have marginalized, among others.
One of the things I'll be able to report back to you is that for inclusivity, we are saying we are not leaving any youth behind. Be it be a youth in the marginalized areas, be it be a youth in rural areas, be it be a youth in Turkana, or those areas that we feel that are very far off away from where we are as the headquarters of National Youth Council. So what we are saying is that we will work with all youth, because all youth matter, and all youth are supposed to be represented by an institution. When you talk about inclusiveness, you're talking about also people living with disability. We have people who are very innovative, who are living with disability, and we are not going to leave them behind. When we have programs, we will be having programs that are curated for these special groups to be able to benefit from them. When you talk about people who are in the marginalized areas, as I've mentioned before, we want to be able to work with them. We've been able to work with the youth in the ASL counties, and we've been able to do youth policies. These are draft policies. Again, working with those young people to tell us, what is this that they suffer from? What are these challenges that they are facing constantly? Because for us, we don't want to be the people who are pushing our solutions to the youth. We want the youth to tell us, this is the challenge that we are facing, this is the support that we are looking at, and we are able to have a discussion and come up with solutions together. So be it a youth in the marginalized area, be it a youth who is living with disability, we want to bring them on board and be able to understand in areas that they feel that there is a challenge. So for us, we are saying we are not going to leave any young person behind.
Ms. Margaret, how is NYC working together with the county government to ensure smooth implementation of the strategic plan?
Thank you once again. One of the things that, as I had mentioned earlier, when I was talking about some of these policies, we've been able to work with the counties. And when we were developing the county youth policy, we were guided by the Kenya Youth Development Policy of 2019. That's a national document that our counterparts at the county level, they've been able to appreciate the document. So what we are telling them is, how can we be able now to domesticate it? Because you'll agree with me. The youth problems, they could be the same, but there are areas that are not the same per se. You'll find there's a region in our country where peace and security is paramount. There's a region where issues to do with drought is very important to them. There's an area where you find that matters to do with maybe drugs and substance abuse is a very big agenda, or they would want to be able to take care of that menace or to be able to eradicate it. So for us, we were looking, or we've been working with those counties, in the ASL counties mostly, to ensure that we are able to come up with solutions for the grassroots problems with them. So we are working with the county government. We are working with also the COG, that is the COG, to be able also to come up with solutions that are based on the needs of that county. And apart from that, from our ministry, we have youth officers that when we go on ground, because again, our footprint has not gone to the ground, so we work with our ministry to ensure when we go to some of these areas, we are working with our youth officers. We've seen young people actually being able to just go out there and start some programs, and they call us and tell us, National Youth Council, at this county, yes, maybe we might not have a structure in doing this and this, but we would want to work with you. We've seen this youth at Tana River. We've seen some of them in areas like Lamu. They are calling us and telling us, yes, we are working with the county, we have this program, and we would want you to work with us. So ours mostly is ensuring that we are also approachable and we open our doors for those counties that are already having programs at the grassroots. But when it comes to working, we are working with the 47 counties, and the ones that do not have the youth policies as it had been mentioned during the launch. We are looking at being able to approach and have a collaborative effort to work together to ensure that we have the youth policy. Because the youth policy will guide it will guide the programs that are being done at the grassroots. It will also guide even having a framework to be able to even do a monitoring and evaluation. What have we been able to do in County X? How can we be able to improve it? That way, we are able to represent our youth and represent them in a manner that they will appreciate and will see impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the insights. And now to an issue that is affecting each and every one of us, perhaps the reason why you are not here live with us. On matters like climate change, we have floods affecting most of us, and we have even lost some of our fellow citizens. Perhaps when it comes to climate change, how does the strategic plan involve climate change, how the youth get involved in that as well?
One of our pillars at National Youth Council is, we have 3 pillars, maybe to just bring it to your attention. We have one of our mandates is to ensure youth participation, youth representation, and youth association. And when it comes to youth participation, we are able to work with youth serving organizations. You'll be very shocked that there are very young people who actually are at the forefront of climate change. They're doing marvelous work, and they're doing a lot of changes. We have one of the youth serving organizations called Green Space. They've been able to come up with even policies that have been presented during the discussions prior to COP, to the COP, either COP 20. The last time we had a discussion with them was before COP 28. So we are looking at institutions that are already there that we are working with. When you look at someone like her name is keeping my mind. Sorry for that. Her name has kept my mind. But you look at that young lady, she's doing so much when it comes to youth work. So for us as National Youth Council, the one thing we were saying, we are going to amplify these young people as they do it. And even in our strategic plan, what we have is that programs that are going to be able to ensure that we are able to work with these institutions, to be able to also push for the programs that are supporting young institutions and youth serving organizations at the grassroots. So at the strategic plan, and I wish we can go to our website to see this document. I wish we can go to our Twitters to just see what are these snippets that we are going to be having when it comes to matters climate action. Because one of the things that we should actually be cognizant of, you've said about the floods. The next thing we are going to be talking about the droughts. The next thing we are going to be talking about people not getting along with each other. Actually, this is a cycle. It's a cycle that when we look at it, if we do not take care of the climate, it means it's a cycle that affects all people, starting with the young people. Because one of the things is that you'll note, as I've said, if the rains come, that means floods will be there. In a few months' time, you might find we have drought. Then it means we have communities that are having disagreements. So if we don't take care of climate action, if we don't ensure that we are having our youth at the forefront, either be it on the tree growing, be it on being the advocates of ensuring that we have policies that can be able to mitigate some of these things, then it means that the youth, who are the majority, that we are in for a rude shock, that we will be having a situation where we are not able to even feed ourselves. Then the other thing that we are also calling upon our youth through our strategic plan. We want our youth to be also at the forefront of ensuring that we have food security. Apart from ensuring that we mitigate issues to do with climate action, let us also be at the forefront when it comes to issues to do with food security. Because a hungry person is actually an angry person. So we look forward, even as we implement, as we come to partners, one of them, as you saw today, is His Excellency, the Ambassador of Azerbaijan. And one of the things that they are pushing for is on climate action. So we look forward to working with different partners to ensure that our young people, whatever they are doing, we're actually amplifying, and we continue to support them to pull other people to come to mitigate the climate matter and to be able to provide solutions for our country and even for the world for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now maybe you can talk about, are there any specific targets or milestones set within the strategic plan that you hope to achieve at certain time frames?
Thank you for that question. One of the things you'll come to appreciate is that a strategic plan is a guiding document. And a strategic plan being a guiding document is a document that we are going to implement within the period of 5 years. Yes, we have milestones that we've been able to set, that within the first year, we want to be able to do a certain some of these deliverables. And one of the things that we are looking at doing during the first year of implementation of this strategic plan, you remember I mentioned about having a youth sector that is very disaggregated. Everyone doing a lot of work, but doing it at their own corner. We want to be able to ensure that we have a youth sector regulations. And what will these regulations do? The regulations will be able, number one, to professionalize the work of our young people. You find a lot of professionals have their bodies that have code of conduct that guide what they do and all that. If we are able to have a sector regulation, then we are able to professionalize the area of the youth work. Apart from that, we are looking at being able to even work towards having coordinated data, being able to have data that we can be able to proudly say that this is how much impact that we've had. So we want to be able to do that at the same time. So within the first year, hours, we are telling ourselves we need to have that regulation. And regulation, it's a process. We already have a draft. We need to be able to present it to our members of parliament. And that process, we are hoping, noting that today we had an overwhelming support from members of parliament, looking at being able to have this enacted as a law, so that we have regulations for the youth sector to be able to guide the youth serving organization, to be able to guide the youth sector and in everything that they do. That way, we will be able to confidently measure what impact, in what sector, and we can be able to give even policy solutions that can be able to be adapted for this country and for the benefit of our young people. I hope that gives a snippet of what we are looking at in the first year. The same thing, again, a strategic plan is a document that after the half year, we will be able to review. When we get to the second year, we'll be able to review. what have we been able to achieve? What are challenges that we are facing as we implement this strategic plan? Do we need to change our strategies? So that way it's allowed in the middle of the 5 years, in case you would want to do a review, that's the time that we'll be able to do. But for us, in the first year, one of the things that we want to be able to achieve is having youth sector regulations. And apart from having youth sector regulations, we also hope to have reviewed our National Youth Act of 2009. Because this is an act, as we mentioned, it was created before even the Constitution of 2010. So there are areas that we feel that our act requires some changes to be able to fully support the youth of this country. So those are the two milestones that we hope by the time we are getting to the end of the first year, we will have been able to achieve and give feedback on the same to the youth of this country who have placed us in those offices. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the insights. And now another issue that many of the youths of the country are facing are drug abuse. We have had the even Manyata Member of Parliament talk about it. How has the strategic plan addressed the issue of drug and substance abuse among the youth?
How our strategic plan has been able to address that. One of the things that we do, again, we do a lot of intergenerational dialogue. And sometimes when we go to the ground, you will be shocked to note that when you talk to the young people, you get to understand the deeper, maybe the reason why, because being on drugs and substance abuse, to me is a reaction to something. It's either a reaction to a joblessness, either a reaction to the issue to do with either depression. You're looking for something to comfort you. So when we go on ground, which we do a lot when it comes to intergenerational dialogue, when we go on ground, we are having conversations with these young people, trying to understand why are we having this vice of drugs and substance abuse. And you'll be shocked to understand that some say you, I don't have means to support my family. And because when I get home, I'm constantly told of how useless I am, I look for a comfort, which is either an alcohol and drugs and substance abuse. So for us, we are looking at being able to deal with the root cause. And being able to deal with the root cause is coming up with these policies that are youth-friendly to ensure that our young people are engaged and engaged meaningfully. If a young person is engaged meaningfully, I foresee that we will have dealt with the issue to do with drugs and substance abuse. But one of the things I'll applaud our government is being able to go out there and fight the menace, because we are having a lot of young, productive people that you find they're not being utilized, or they're not using their energy to build the country. You find they're using that energy to actually destroy their youthful years. Then, you know, we always say youth is a passing age. As in, 1 minute you are under 35, the next you've already passed that age. And we want by the time our youth are getting to the age of over 35 as per our Constitution of Kenya, that they've been able to do a lot of meaningful work. So we applaud what the government is doing to ensure that we get rid of this menace, because if we are not careful, we will lose a lot of young men, a lot of young women to drugs and substance abuse. For us, in our strategic plan, we have those programs, and they are majorly under the intergenerational dialogue, where we are sitting down with different youth from different communities to understand what are these challenges. And sometimes that's the time they'll tell you, I'm depressed. And one of the things actually you find, it's actually sometimes a relationship issue. So being able to tell these young people, you have solutions within yourself. Just talk to one another. And sometimes you find they're able to get a solution, something that was making someone not able to even control the drinking or control their way of behavior. When they have a chat with their fellow youth, they discover, oh, actually, you have a solution to my problem. So what we are encouraging young people is, like, please, be each other's keeper. And because when you have someone who is holding you accountable, you find at the end of the day, you tend to have a very a better and a coordinated approach when it comes to your action. So we are calling upon youth, please be each other's keeper, as opposed to spending most of your time on drinking and substance abuse. Let that energy be utilized to come up with a proposal. We will please come and disturb us with the proposal and tell us, you know what, I need to be supported, or I need to be shown on how to be able to do a proposal. And I know there are so many partners who are willing to work with young people to just give that capacity building on how can I be able to better myself. And again, as you said, and as International Youth Fellowship has continued to actually advocate for, being able to have that mindset change. Our young people have to continue being reminded that being a youth is a passing age, and they need to be able to see more of their potential and utilize it positively.
Thank you very much, Ms. Margaret, for your wonderful insights. And of course, there's a lot to talk about in matters of strategic plan, but sadly, time is not on our side. Maybe briefly, as you give your parting shot, you can tell us how you have made the strategic plan available for the youths. And this is a 77-page, maybe for the youths who don't like to read, if there's a simpler version, and how they can be able to access it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much once again for having us and for having me to just represent National Youth Council. How our youth can be able to access this document, they can be able to go to our website. Also, we've been able to put the links on our social media for the young people to just be able to go there, click it, and have a look. What we are working on, we will work on the popular version, which will be shorter, to ensure that our young people get the snippets of what they need to be able to, the critical areas that they should be able to look at, and also see the possible and beneficial opportunities that they can be able to work or to tap into. Otherwise, I thank you very much for allowing National Youth Council to come on air to just be able to articulate what we do as a state agency, and we continue appreciating the partnership that we have with GBS News together with IYF Kenya. Asante sana.